Hello, sustainability professionals. I'm Jennifer Woofter from Strategic Sustainability Consulting, and I'm here to give you a quick insight into how to use Klout to build your sustainability practice. So Klout is a free application. You can get an account very easily by going to the website klout.com. Once you do so, you will be able to sign in either using Twitter or Facebook. So I already have an account, so I will sign in with Twitter. So once I do so, I'm able to see a whole dashboard of information. The first big thing that jumps out at me is my Klout number. This is a number that attempts to measure how influential I am across all of the social media networks and platforms that I have connected. So you can see that I'm a 46 today, and you can also see my score analysis over the last 30 days. So this is this chart across the time. You can see on any date what my given Klout score was. You can also see here up at the top that it has my Twitter bio, so President of Strategic Sustainability Consulting in Washington, D.C., owner of 2 misbehaving dogs that like to reduce, reuse, and recycle my shoes. In fact, you may be able to see them laying down here in the background. You can see that I've connected my Twitter account, my Facebook account, my Google Plus account, and also LinkedIn. You have other options like connecting your YouTube or your Instagram. So any of those you can click or connect just by clicking on the icon, and it will take you through a syncing process. What you can do here is look at your dashboard across the lower left-hand side of your screen. One of the really nice things about Klout is that it tells you how effective you are over the past 90 days. So you can never rest on your laurels. So here you can see your 90-day activity. So you can see for Twitter, the number of retweets, mentions, followers, and number of people following that you have. Facebook activity statistics are coming soon, and you can see that, at least for me, I'm not nearly as influential across Google Plus as I am over Twitter. In fact, over the last 90 days, I haven't had really any activity on Google+. So that gives me a tip right immediately that maybe I need to be spending a little more time on Google+. Klout also will tell you your true reach. So your true reach, and you can scroll over any of these links to understand more what that means. But it's the number of people you influence. So people who have lots of followers are going to have a higher score. You can see over the last month or so, my true reach has decreased from, let's see, a high of 519 at the beginning of the month down to 364 towards the end of the month. And I'm not really worried about this. Things fluctuate day by day, particularly over December when social media kind of comes to a little bit of a lull as people focus on the holidays. I'm not too worried about that. Amplification is how likely it is that you influence people. So, for example, how likely is it when I put something on Twitter that it is retweeted? Or how often when I post on Facebook do people comment or share what I have put on Facebook? And you can see that over the last 30 days, my amplification has bounced around a little bit, but generally has increased over the last few days. That's particularly true because it's over the last 30 days, I haven't been that active. It's the Christmas holidays, and but over the last couple of days I've posted more on Facebook, mainly because I have a cold and wanted people to share my pain. Network impact is the influence of your audience. So for example, if you have very influential people following you, your network impact is going to be greater because when they retweet or when they engage or leave a comment, it is much more likely to get out to a wider audience. So those are some of the key things that Klout is measuring, and remember, they're doing this across all of your social networks. Another thing that I really like about Klout is their topics. So Klout will decide what you're influential about depending on what you tweet or you Facebook or you Instagram or YouTube, whatever you have connected. You can see, not surprisingly for me, I'm influential about sustainability as a sustainability consultant. I'm also influential. Klout thinks about food, grocery stores, farmers markets video. Obviously, I've been talking a lot about food lately. For a while, I was influential about disasters, and I really thought, well, I don't really know anything about disasters, but I realized I had participated in a CSR Twitter chat about disasters and sustainability, and because a lot of people had retweeted that just in the course of an hour, Klout thought I was very influential about it. So because they're only looking at the last 90 days, you can really see what you're trending on. And this is also a good idea if you are thinking about what do you want to be influential about? What are the types of things that people are really looking to you for information and then sharing with their own networks? You can also look at Klout style. So Klout style is a matrix of information, and it tells you kind of what you are doing and also where the people that you influence are. So, for example, I am a networker. This is me right here, number 46. And a networker means that I am relatively focused, although not exclusively focused, and I'm also very consistent. So people who are in the lower left-hand quadrant tend to have lower Klout scores simply because they're not as consistent. They're not regularly out there on social media. And then people who are very, very focused, for example, number 54 here is Julie Erlob of Taiga Company. She is very focused, very much focused on sustainability, whereas I tend to have a wider reach or a broader set of topics that I talk about, including things like disasters. So you can see also that the people who are most influential, we're talking the Justin Biebers of the world, the Justin Timberlakes, the Barack Obamas, tend to be creating in broad. They tend to have the highest Klout scores, and they tend to be in the top right-hand quadrant. So what you can see is by scrolling over any of these quadrants is you can see kind of the Klout description. So if you're in the top right-hand corner, you're a celebrity, you're very influential, you tend to be creating news rather than making it. And when you're focused, as a specialist, you may not be a celebrity, but within your area of expertise, your opinion is really important. I tend to fluctuate between a networker and a specialist depending on how focused my posts have been and my tweets have been over the last 90 days. I kind of ride that line. But you can see is that there's not one necessarily better than the other. In fact, you can see that Walmart Canada is a 60, which is higher than Julie or I am. They are more casual, but they are much more participating. So people are really retweeting them. They're broadcasting lots of information that's getting picked up and shared. So this is sort of a good way to do a little bit of a self-assessment and figure out, are you where you want to be in terms of your social media? So there's also other things like perks. They give you special things depending on your score. I don't really find this very useful. It feels a little bit like salesy to me, so I generally skip that. Lists are another thing. You can import a list from Twitter if you do that. It's just another way to organize your Klout score. One of the things I really like is the influencers button. So influencers are the people who you can see who you influence and then also who influences you. And you can go down here and look at any of them. You can see their scores. So for example, I influence, this is actually my good friend in socially, Lauren, but you can also see people like Brendel Group. They're an environmental engineering company. They also are influenced. So I can see my influencers over the last 90 days, or people that I influence, are not necessarily really influential on their own social media. You can also see who influences me. So people who are lately influencing me include NRDC, Natural Resources Defense Council, Walmart Canada, Taiga Company. Now let's look at one of the cool things that Klout does. I can click on anyone's name and it will pull them up and it will allow me to do a comparison. So this is really helpful. You can see this is Julie Erlob of Taiga Company. Julie has a much higher Klout score than I do, and she's very consistent, right around 54, 55. And I'm down here at 46. You can immediately see how you compare. You can also see your networks of influence. So comparing how influential you are across different platforms. So you can see that for me, most of my influence comes from my Facebook, 83%, where only 17% comes from my Twitter. Whereas Julie, she is much more influential on Twitter, plus a little bit of Google+, a little bit of LinkedIn, and then the more things you have connected, the more things you will be able to compare. And then you can see if you share any influencers. So one of the things I really like about this, and you can also see what topics she's influenced on, is that this allows you to do a little bit of background before you meet someone. Let's say you're going to an event and you look at the attendee list and you pick out 5 or 10 people that you'd really like to get to know. Go ahead and look them up on Klout, see what they're influential about, see what kind of platforms they're on. Do a little bit of research on them. This will really make it a lot easier to find those mutual connections, find something interesting to talk about, and be able to make the most of your networking when you're in person. This is also a great way to figure out who do you want to follow on Twitter, who do you want to be friends with on Facebook, and also to do a little bit of a self-assessment of, are you being consistent? Are you doing much better on one platform than another? Again, this is one of those things you can check every single day because it does update every day. You can check once a week just sort of as a check, but I do recommend that you set up a Klout account and check it regularly to make sure that your social media is on track. If you like this tip and you'd like to learn more about using social media to grow your sustainability practice, I would love for you to visit sustainabilityconsulting.com and click on the Social Media for Sustainability Professionals logo. It's an 8-week self-guided online course. We take you through all of the different platforms between Twitter and Facebook and LinkedIn and blogging and building a website, everything you need to know to get your social media platforms up and running to grow your sustainability practitioner business. Thanks.